There are a lot of videos, magazine articles, and water cooler discussions around why Solo, a Star Wars story, is considered a failure. The film earned over $350 million and is still playing in theaters, so it might break the $400 million mark when all is said and done. On a $300 million budget, it technically did make a profit, but not much in comparison to the standards set for Star Wars films. For example, compared to the other standalone movie, Rogue One, which made over $1 billion in comparison to a $200 million budget. Don't forget to subscribe and all that other stuff YouTubers are supposed to say. Now back to Solo. Let's break it down and decide, is it that bad or is it better than people give it credit for? 1. Profits. Yes, Solo is a financial failure, but not making money is not always a sign of a bad film. Lots of movies over the years have been commercial failures, such as Blade Runner and Event Horizon. Both of those films are now considered great sci-fi movies. Some of Solo's financial failure could merely be due to the timing of when it was released. Solo was released at the same time as Deadpool 2 and Avengers Infinity War, two movies that audiences had anxiously been waiting to see. Since all three of the films are in the same genre, Solo could simply have lost out due to the competition. Number 2. Studio interference. One of the big objections to the movie I've noticed in discussions online is how Disney has made the Star Wars universe too politically correct, which is true. They have. But would it be any better in the hands of George Lucas? Remember Jar Jar? Or how about midichlorians?
Midichlorians are a microscopic life form that resides within all living cells.
Lucas doesn't care about movies anymore. He cares about making video games, whether it be actual video games or movies looking like video games. So I would say, even with the film being Disneyfied, it is still better than it would be in the hands of George Lucas. Fan baiting. I believe this is primarily where the film fails. The producers tried too hard to cater to the fans of Star Wars, and if there's one thing that we know, it's that Star Wars fans are fanatical assholes. Look at the fact that many of the female stars in the recent episodes have had to delete their social media profiles, and that Last Jedi director Rian Johnson has received death threats. Yet with Solo, they still tried to make the super fans happy. For example, the bit with how Han got his last name, or the dice being handed around, how Han and Chewbacca met, Lando pronouncing Han as Hen, saying, I have a good feeling about this instead of bad feeling. Did we give a shit about how Han got his blaster? Something they focused on way too much. In this film, Han clearly shoots first in the sequence at the end. And many, many more that I haven't called out here, such as references to canon from the books and Rebels, because people love to make YouTube videos calling out all the Easter eggs, and filmmakers apparently love to include them into films nowadays so that fans can get a effing hard-on every time they see something in the background of a movie rather than watching the film. Some of the stuff was fine, Chewie and Han meeting, for example, but do we need him to say, I'm having a good feeling about this? No, especially because these fanatical fans have already made movies in their silly little heads, and no movie will be as good as that. What Jonathan and Lawrence Kasdan should have done when writing the script is focused on creating a decent story. Complain all you want about The Last Jedi, at least the story was somewhat new. Casting. Han Solo is universally a fan favorite character in the Star Wars universe, so having anyone play him other than Harrison Ford is tough. But I have to go with the critics on this and say Alden Ehrenreich, it wasn't the best choice. But then again, would it have been possible to find someone the fans would have accepted? Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian turned out to be an excellent in the role, and the rest of the cast was actually pretty good as well. And truthfully, I don't have a problem with Alden Ehrenreich as an actor. I simply feel, like many others, that there can be only one Han Solo. Direction. Could we blame the fact that they fired directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller and brought in Ron Howard to finish the film? Well, it's hard to say since we don't know what the film would have been, but it could be that some of the things that suck about this film are their fault. But then again, maybe what sucks is Ron Howard's fault. Generally, I consider Howard an excellent filmmaker, But in this film, there were directing choices that I found annoying, especially in the area of cinematography, with the typical quick-cut action sequences happening in films to the point that you can't really focus on anything due to the close-up shots, camera movement, and fast cuts. Why do all films nowadays with even the littlest bit of action have to do this? Have filmmakers gotten so lazy that they can't choreograph an action sequence that has a cut longer than a few seconds or is not done in an extreme close-up? Darth Maul. Oh, FYI spoiler, but I guess I had a bunch of spoilers earlier, so, well, you know, whatever. Darth Maul. I rolled my eyes when he appeared on screen. The last most people saw this character was when he was chopped in half in The Phantom Menace. If you're a Star Wars nerd and have watched every Star Wars related thing, you would know that in Rebels, and I think the books, I'm not sure on that one, he doesn't die after being chopped in half and falling down the giant hole. Why he needs to show up at the end of Solo, however, is a bit of a mystery, other than the makers of this film displaying more unnecessary fan service. So overall, is the film that bad? No, it's not that bad, but it's not that good either. They have everything there they needed to make a decent film. They just were trying too hard to please everyone. Too many producers, writers, and directors had their hands in the pot. Disney and Lucasfilm, if you want to succeed with these standalone films, first off, stop trying to give the superfans a hard-on with every scene and Easter egg in the film. Second, cut out some of the overly PC crap. The reveal of one of the pirates being a 12-year-old girl, for example. Warwick Davis has shown up in this film like many others. Why can't he be the leader of the pirate group? And finally, spend a little more time on a good story and engaging characters. That is what made the original successful, and could make any new film successful if they would stop playing so much to what they think people want. On the plus side, at least they didn't have C-3PO and R2-D2 appear anywhere in this film.